Welcome, everyone, to another trip to Nintendoland. We're back in the world of Nintendo video games and other Nintendo-related things. Hello, I'm Mike Burgess, your host, and I'm here with Ari O'Neill. Hello, Ari. How you doing?
Hello, hi.
That's right. We're back to talk about Nintendo. This is a monthly show here on Irrational Passions that we do, talking all things Nintendo. We've been doing it. We're almost at episode 30, which is in the wide world of other podcasts is not a lot, but since this is a monthly show,
that's a big deal for us.
That's a big deal for us because we're a monthly show, so that'll be fun. That'll be technically our next episode, but we're almost there. So that's still 29 episodes.
3 years.
Yeah, 3+ years, and that doesn't include we've done other one-off things. Like we did that Tears of the Kingdom kind of prediction thing a while back, and the Pokemon ranking and stuff. That was fun. We've done that a couple times, so we're technically over.
What was the last episode we did?
For the Pokemon ranking?
No, just in general. Nintendoland.
Well, the last episode of Nintendoland, that we talked about that direct that happened in early July, I believe.
Okay, I don't know if I was if people knew I was a girl at that point.
I was gonna say I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Ari's
people
here.
Get it at this point. Ari's here. Yes, she's here to stay.
Yeah. Common enough.
Last episode we didn't have video or anything, right? I don't.
Yeah, you were moving, I think, or was that? Yeah. I don't know. We've done so many. We also do Helm the Tower.
We do a lot of podcasts together.
yeah, because now I'm it's blended in with Helm the Tower now too. Sometimes so I'm trying to remember now too.
That's why I was trying to find the memory as well. Right. But hi, anyway, if you don't know, at Ari means wind on Twitter. So
that's right.
Catch up.
But Nintendo's happening, I guess, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that direct that happened. I'm fairly sure that was the last thing we talked about on here.
I think so.
That really shows you how much we keep up when we do new episodes. It's a monthly show, so sometimes a lot happens in a month period in our lives for sure. So a lot of things change and update and all that jazz. But there's not been a whole lot of Nintendo news. But that's because we had that direct and they just announced hey, here's all the rest of the games we're coming out for the rest of the year. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that. I pulled up a release calendar to talk about what we're looking forward to for the rest of the year for the Switch in terms of game releases and stuff. So that'll be fun. There's also has more indie game stuff that maybe wasn't fully in that direct, so we'll have a lot more to pull from stuff we're looking forward to. So we'll talk about that, and then also some games have come out. I've played a bunch of Pikmin 4, the video game, which has been pretty fun. So I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later in the show, and then you played Ghost Trick as well, the remastered that came out recently. So we're talking about that stuff. But there's not much Nintendo news. I admittedly am purposely avoiding talking about Switch 2, weird Switch Pro rumors that I feel like there was a time when we talked about that a lot on the show, and now I feel like we're in that, we know it's coming, it's not, I don't think we're that far away from that, so I'd rather just get to a point where we know at least some more official things, or there's more actual legitimate things to talk about.
Forced information.
Yeah, rather than just being here's this rumor X again for this thing, this console. Of course, this video game company is working on a new console or new hardware of some kind. So, we're just gonna not talk about any of that stuff. Although there's definitely been a lot more, I feel rumblings of it recently.
Yeah, we're getting there. We talked about it last episode too. I remember. I think we ended with stuff about the backwards compatibility. That was the last episode of the one before then. Yeah,
definitely a lot of that up in the air about should it be, or is it going to be, or hopefully will be. So
yeah. At this point, it is really just a matter of months before we actually know what it is. So.
Yeah. Considering we're by the time this episode will be out, it'll basically be August already. But we're getting towards the end of the summer. Usually they have another big Nintendo Direct in that September kind of early fall time frame. So who knows? We can maybe even hear it as soon as a month from this from that episode, or maybe they do something in it, because I want to say they originally showed the Switch. They showed it in some random trailer in the middle of October.
Yeah.
So
end of October, same day as the Red Dead Redemption 2 reveal.
Right.
Very weird news day.
Yeah, very
Video
yeah,
games.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, anything. I definitely feel like anything's possible. So I think I just would rather just wait because it feels like we're not that far away from something like that happening. So,
Yeah.
but let's get into this calendar I picked up here. So basically, I'm using this website I found called releases.com, and basically it's kind of like a big site that like kind of is filtering. I basically filtered it from August through the remainder of the year to see what games are coming out. We're not going to. There's actually a pretty decent amount of games listed because there's all kinds of weird smaller stuff that comes to Switch. Definitely some weird anime games or other things like that. So we won't probably touch on every single thing that is there, but I definitely have some highlights here that I want to talk about. So we have.
I'm curious. Before we start, do you know what you are spending your other voucher on, or have you already spent it?
I would say I have not. I actually have not got any voucher thing yet.
Oh, you didn't do the 2 vouchers?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I did that. So I got Zelda with one, and I actually got Super Mario Wonder with the other.
Nice. I definitely probably should do that. Just especially with like Mario coming up, and then there's something else I think coming up. Mario RPGs. That's probably that. Maybe I'll do it that.
Both of those.
Maybe I'll use it that way and get both those Mario games with that or something coming up soon. But I actually have not used it yet, yeah, or done that at all. So let's see. What do we have up here? Some cool indie stuff coming up, but like early in August here in these first couple of weeks, so they're pretty soon. So I'll just shout these out real quick. August 8th, we have WrestleQuest. August 9th, we have 30XX. It's just kind of like that Mega Man style, like roguelite game. And WrestleQuest is like a straight up, like, old school JRPG style wrestling game with like I think there's like some proper wrestling people in it in some shape or form. So that's fun. I just remember seeing that one a lot at like all the kind of PAXs and stuff when we used to get out to those. Yeah, there was always those fun ones there. Let's see. August 17th, we have Vampire Survivors finally coming to the Switch. That'll be fun. I definitely think if you have not played that game and don't have availability to it on a like PC or something like that, that's like a cool one to jump into. Very addicting dopamine rush game that's really fun, and it's only like $5, so really good. Game I'm looking really forward to on August 18th, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. That is the spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio games that Sega used to make, but this is now being made by Team Reptile. They are the creators of that that 2D fighting game. Oh, the name is blanking on me, but it had like a really cool style. It was very Smash Brothers like inspired by with like the art. It wasn't Brawlhalla. Because it was like a 2D and you like hit the ball back and forth, and like that was like the main way you fought.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about. I do not know the name.
Yeah, the name is escaping me as well. I know the developer team is Team Reptile. Yeah, it looks really cool. If you've ever seen Jet Set Radio games, it's like right out of those. Looks awesome. I'm so stoked because I did like those games back in the day. Lethal League, that's what it is. Yep.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Yeah, Lethal League also was a really cool game. Let's see. After that one, August 24th, Blasphemous 2. Now, did you ever play the first one of these? Because I know like it's a big Metroidvania. I know it was really popular. I don't know if it was up your alley or not.
I played a demo of it. They put out like a free demo. I think it's like the first 2 chapters or parts of it. And I liked what I played. Actually, Blasphemous 2, I was going to bring up too, because it's on my fantasy critic team.
Nice.
Because people speak pretty highly of that first one.
Yeah.
I just remember Blasphemous came out in the year of the Metroidvania, as we call it, where there were like 17 games that came out in August of that year. So I kind of, it slipped through the cracks. I think I was playing like Chasm and Ori and stuff.
Okay.
But I'm definitely curious. I hope if the second one is even better than the first, I might check them both out when it comes out.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've definitely seen very positive buzz about it, for sure. So I was always curious. I don't know if there was ones you checked out because I know you're definitely. I enjoy myself in Metroidvania, but I would say you're definitely way more keen on them or play a lot more.
Yeah, I
of
play
them
like a lot of weird, like maybe not great Metroidvanias, but I commit to them in a very loving way for sure.
Nice.
But I think we got to talk nothing else between this and Blasphemous, so it feels safe to jump to August 29th, Sea of Stars.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say I was kind of looking at a couple other games in between that, and like admittedly, I was like, yeah, this
Agatha
looks,
Christie, Hercule Parapoint.
Yeah, I know, right? Come on, you don't want to talk about Agatha Christie game? Come on, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Sea of Stars. Yeah, obviously, like the what's the name of the devs again? They're like Sabotage. Yeah. They made the Messenger, which was a really cool, like also similar kind of 2D action game. Really inspired by Ninja Gaiden, but obviously now they've shifted to this, which is like a full on like top down JRPG. Very Chrono Trigger inspired. Yep, they put it on Kickstarter when it first launched, or they first launched a Kickstarter for it and then got funded, and then now it's coming out. Finally, yeah, this looks awesome. Like I'm definitely even going to be checking this one out for sure. But I know it's definitely been on the RPG, JRPG fanatics, because like a lot of these don't, like a lot of like Chrono Trigger style JRPGs. I feel like there's not been. I'm sure there's maybe been like smaller like fan ones for sure, but I feel like this is like a one that's like definitely sort of risen above a lot of that other stuff, right?
Yeah. It's so funny, like, obviously I love The Messenger a lot. You can go read my review of it. I think it's great. I think it's one of the best Metroidvanias and 2D action platformers of the last 10 years, probably.
Yeah, nice.
And I got to spend a lot of time with Thierry, who's the guy who directed it, and he's directing this. And I remember when he told me about this game, like after The Messenger had come out, like at that launch party at PAX West that we went to.
Yeah.
And he told me what their next game was going to be long before it was announced. It was like the only thing that I've known for like forever. And I was so excited about the idea of it. And then when they finally showed it off as like this real love letter to Chrono Trigger, which he said is like one of his favorite games of all time. It really just solidified. I've been looking forward to this for so long. There's a demo out on Switch, and now it's out on PS4 as well. I don't know if it's out on Xbox, but it might be. That's like a little slice of the game. Really unique combat system, right? Like you're hitting enemies with weak points to like stagger them. There's like different attack types like slashing and blunt damage and light and dark damage and stuff like that. You have to hit all the different things you need to hit within a certain amount of turns to stagger an enemy. And you can like absorb like these little things that fall on the ground to like make your next move stronger. It's really cool. It's going to be on Game Pass on day one, and it's going to be on PS Plus Extra on day one. Dang. So like you can get this everywhere, and it'll be on Switch, PS5, and Xbox. So yeah, just check it out. I think it's going to be really good. Also on my fantasy critic team.
Heck yeah, very nice. Yeah, it looks really cool. I'm looking forward to it as well, as I've been
prequel to The Messenger as well.
Oh, interesting. Definitely been more in a JRPG vibes after playing not a Switch game, but it was Final Fantasy 16. But I did start another JRPG that I'll talk about later as well. That I kept my word because it's something we talked about super like early this year, which was Octopath Traveler 2.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I started it. I didn't really get super deep in, but like I have played like, you know, I say I'm not super deep in, but I played like 10 hours. But that's how JRPGs go. So
yeah, it's funny because I just played Tales of Arise too. So I love that we were both like on a JRPG trip after 16.
Yeah, definitely brought that mood back in me. Like, you know, I haven't really hopped into a game like this in a while. Let me try some out, and then this probably will also. I'll probably also end up playing this because of that as well. So that does it mostly for August. Although there is these weird looking games towards the end of the list, I kind of want to look at one that randomly, just quick thing. Apparently there's going to be a 5th Trine game.
Yeah,
I had no idea that was even
I knew there was a fourth one, but yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one after this is this game called the Isle Tide Hotel. And it looks like it's an FMV game, and all I know is I'll probably tune into the next Lander stream.
Yeah, that's what
with the Vinny Caravella playing that game on. That's they're both August 31st. It's the very, very end of the month for August. That's fun.
Wild.
Yeah, wild. Still out here making FMV games. So now we're on to September, and I definitely think September actually has a lot of cool stuff as well. First up, I want to talk about is Fae Farm. That's September 8th. Definitely been caught my eye. Is like I'm not really like I don't always get interested in these kind of farm simmy kind of like lifestyle kind of games or whatever, the cozy games as you would call it. But every so often there's one that I'd be like, okay, I can maybe get this. And I think it is that where this one looks like it has kind of a more blend, like it looks more like a fantasy life. Like I know it's also is presumably this year as well. Allegedly. But this looks like it blends that a little bit more where like you have kind of like this farm simming and like building your own like kind of life out, but also it has like, you can go do combat and go into dungeons and stuff. And like this game seems to have both of those going on, and like you can kind of have like it has like a little bit more RPG-ish stuff going on. That sounds cool. It also has multiplayer, so you could like get in co-op with and play with other people. So that could be fun if I can ever find people to probably play this with or not. But I think that looks cool, and it's been on my radar because it's always one of those farm games that shows up in like every Direct or Nintendo kind of little showcase. The last couple it's shown up in, so I've definitely have a radar. Okay, there's a couple of weird games. I want to look at I'm just briefly looking at these, but I mean, if you want to also shout out, I don't know if you've looked through some September stuff.
I have, yeah. I'm like the only one that's like jumping out to me, Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 HD remaster.
Oh yeah,
exciting.
Nice. I played
games that I missed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I played the first one. I didn't beat the first one, but I played it originally when it came on the GameCube. And I remember it had, even when I was younger, I liked the vibe of it, but it was definitely for my younger, dumber brain, it would not fully into like JRPGs at the time. It did not. I feel like I didn't stick with it, but I remember like liking a lot of vibes to it.
Yeah,
specifically.
And that excites me. Like I love GameCube era video games.
Yeah, it is a GameCube ass era video game.
Yeah,
like that GameCube like PS2 JRPG era. It is one of those, without a doubt, for sure.
Love that.
Yeah. What else we got here? I like that Super Bomberman R2 September 13th. That's surprising. That's getting another go at it.
I remember when they announced that, and I was like, "Who wanted this?
Yeah, who wanted this? Who knows? Maybe they got together. I don't know. That's like we'll see." Another one I feel like showed up a lot in directs was Myth Force, which is September 12th. That was like it's like a first-person kind of co-op roguelite game where it's like 80s cartoon inspired. Even like the game itself, while you're playing it, has a very visual, very cool visual style to it. That's like evoking that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Let me scroll down here a little bit. All right, this one just says like a weird dragon. It's probably gonna be some weird anime game, but it says Mon Yu English version gameplay trailer. Let me just look through this real quick. Okay, yep. Okay, those are like weird anime chibi characters. This is exactly what the game I thought it was. Yep. So let's scroll through some more of these.
That's what a lot of these
Yeah.
Again, looking at the eShop, you're like, oh, is this an anime platform?
Yeah, that's absolutely usually how it goes, right? There was apparently
Baby sharks singing swim parties. Finally.
Yeah, finally could play that Rainbow High game that's here. Let's go. There's a Harvest Moon game coming out in September 26th. I can't be.
I don't know, because Story of Seasons is like technically a different thing.
Yeah, Story of Seasons, I believe how it broke down is Story of Seasons is like the actual original Harvest Moon team, or like is amalgamation of that, and they moved to that because some other game company bought the rights to Harvest Moon. I think that's what happened, and that's why when you usually see like an Harvest Moon game nowadays, they just kind of look not very great.
Yeah.
At least when
Three
I'm
Seasons,
told.
like a remake of It's a Wonderful Life, which was a Harvest Moon It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Was remade as Story of Seasons It's a Wonderful Life earlier this year. Just very confusing. Mineko's Night Market is a game that's been on my radar for a long
September
time.
26th. Yeah. Nice.
I don't know if that's like if I'm still looking for that game right now, but we'll see. Things will change. Between now and September.
Because we're definitely talking about Switch games, and there's definitely a lot of other stuff.
There's a lot of video games.
A lot of video games this year, so it'll be tricky. Like weird to remember that they're putting out a version of Mortal Kombat 1 on Nintendo Switch that's listed here for September 19th.
It's probably a cloud version.
Yeah,
to be fair.
I would imagine that is the case for sure.
I know a lot of people were very excited about Cocoon, which is an indie game coming out on the 29th.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well because I want to say there's like a I'm blanking on it specifically, but there was like a specific name. That's what it is. It's a guy who's a lead gameplay designer from Limbo and Inside. So basically, he is making this game, and it's kind of his little own indie project. And yeah, it does look really cool from like some of the stuff that I think like people played it at like Summer Game Fest or something.
Yes.
And basically, it's like a thing where you're literally like almost doing like an Inception style. Like you go into like a world that's like in an orb, and you're like doing puzzles, but sometimes there's combat, and like depending on like where you're at in the loop, you'll like if you get into combat, you can get like knocked out of that world into like different into like reverse out and stuff, and it's like it has like a bunch of very like trippy stuff going on from what I've seen. So yeah, cool. I'll definitely probably check that out as well. But yeah, that's on Switch on September 29th. I think it's going to be on other stuff too, like PlayStation and everything like that. So yeah, it looks neat. I think that's mostly it for September here, just because I don't see too many other. Disney Speedstorm on September 28th. I guess that might be the full release. I don't know. I thought it was early next year. I could be wrong. Maybe it wasn't on Switch yet. Maybe it was just on other stuff. I don't know. That game's weird. Anyway.
That is true.
Anyway, let's move on. Oh, I thought I could just go. I guess after this. Oh yeah, we're just
Q3.
Okay, so that's weird. It has October is underneath the Q3, but I think these are just like a bunch of random games that don't
preface the quarter with all the things that are not locked down.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, there's not too much. Yeah, the only ones I'll do a quick shout out. There's Frogun Encore, which is like the original Frogun. I don't know if this is like a full on sequel. I think it might actually be to that one where it's like basically you can see from the visual style it's going for like Mega Man kind of Legends look, but it's like a 2D platformer or like 3D platformer where it's like smaller kind of levels. And you have this like frog gun, like grappling hook gun.
I remember the viewpoints we did for this.
Yeah. I can't remember if you sat on with me or Quinn sat on with me, but yeah.
I think Quinn sat in with you and I watched it.
Okay, nice. Yeah. It's a very cute game. It's cool. I played it. I think I did play it on Switch, but yeah, it's on other stuff too. Another one I'll shout out is the 9 Years of Shadow, which is later. That's another Metroidvania to pique your interest.
This one, I remember this one. Yeah. Yeah,
it's very cool. It's very like it's definitely inspired by like a specific anime from the 90s. I think it's like Saint Seiya, where you get like the different armor, like all the armor sets. She even has like she plays like a lady in it, and you even have like almost like a magical girl like transformation moments in the game from the little bit I played, because I played it on Steam because it is out on Steam already. I think it might be on other stuff too, but I guess this is when it's coming to Switch some point this year. Yeah, cool vibe. The whole premise is like you're like you went to this like castle that's very Castlevania inspired, and you were like going to like rid the world of darkness because like everything's been turned like black and white. But then when you do that, you fail, and then the world's like put back into darkness. But then you gain the power to recolor it 9 years later after 9 years of training. So then you like return later, and then you like come back there and fight, start the fight over, and get these like transformation powers and stuff. So yeah, cool little Metroidvania.
Yeah.
The other thing that's listed down here in Q3, because they usually have dates yet, is the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC.
That's right.
Because there's going to be one in the fall, I think, and then the last one is winter. Neither of those have been listed yet. I know they did show them in that recent direct, though. Where are you at with these still? Like, I guess they haven't really shown too much still, but where are you at?
I finally come down off of the Scarlet Terra raid battles.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I haven't been keeping up with them. I assume more have been happening, but I have not done them.
Yeah.
Ever since I missed the one that was like the weekend when Tears of the Kingdom came out, I was like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm done with these now. Yeah.
And now I have Pokemon Home access. I can get the Pokemon. I have the Pokemon. I promise you, I can get them. If not, I will find them.
That's fair. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to them. It's all about when they come out. But as I've proven with Pokemon this year, I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably what I'm at as well. I was like, I don't think I've bought the DLC anyway. I don't know if you can yet, but I definitely.
You can.
I will. I'm like back and forth if I want to go back to that game. It really does come down to like if they do any kind of technical improvements to it, which at this rate I feel like is just probably not happening. But
yeah,
we could see.
Yeah, I think it's possible with the release of the DLC there could be a major update. But yeah, I mean I will happily go back to Scarlet and Violet at some point. It's just a matter of when. I mean I finished Pokemon Platinum for the first time this year, so anything is possible.
Yeah, there it is. Pokemon Dream stays alive. Speaking of, I think we can move on to October here. Mm-hmm. And I think the first actual game we have here in October is another Pokemon game. And that's October 6th, Detective Pikachu Returns. The sequel to the first Detective Pikachu 3DS is finally happening. I guess
I'm good actually.
I'm kind of good on that too. I didn't play the first one. Like I like the movie. The movie was fine, but like I don't need to. I don't know. I probably don't need to play that personally. It's a super high on my list, but it's happening. It's October 6th.
There's one person out there that is like still upset about the cliffhanger at the end of the first Detective Pikachu, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah, they've been waiting all these years to play it. They've been endlessly waiting.
I'm thinking of a very specific person saying this. They aren't going to hear this, but there is at least one person out there that has been. Yes.
Excellent. Let's see what else we got here.
Wow, it says Alan Wake 2 here. That's
Alan
crazy.
Wake 2. Yeah, that's right.
That's
Weird. Alan Wake 2. Anyway, that looks like a fucking incredible video game. Yeah,
hell yeah. It does. Look forward to the viewpoints on that. Just for us.
Yeah, just for us. We're ready. I'm ready. I need that
10
video.
years ready. 13 years ready.
Need that video game. What else we got here? A bunch of random other like smaller things. Like this looks like the Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, October 19th. That's cool. I heard that first one was surprisingly good, so maybe this like sequel will be more interesting. Then there's the big one, September 20th, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Yeah, still looks incredible. I wonder if they'll do. I mean, I guess this will be October, so there probably could totally still be a September direct where we get a lot more, where they kind of do a bigger reveal of that game. Because we definitely got some cool stuff from that first reveal of it, showing all the different 4-player co-op, all that fun stuff. Playing as Elephant Mario, playing as Daisy and Yoshi's and Toads and Mario Luigi and all that stuff. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yep.
Can't wait.
Super stoked. I haven't been excited for 2D Mario in forever.
Yeah.
So it's fun to be excited about one. I also note we haven't seen what Bowser, his design looks like in this kind of art style. It's obviously not that different, but I'm excited to see what is dreamy Bowser looking at? I want to take what happens to Bowser when he eats that flower? Does he get crazy? Oh, yeah, we're gonna find out. That's for sure.
Or freaky, or like maybe they'll get crazy, and since it's like a dream state, though, like you have other characters or other
what
bad
happens
guys.
When that'd be great if like Wart came back or something. That'd be super fun.
Be fun.
What happens when Peach or Daisy eat the elephant fruit.
Yeah, yeah. Need to know.
I have to
Need
know.
Need to see.
What
elephant.
happens when Toad does it? What
Yes.
does that look like?
I want
with the mushroom hat still. Like
this is a massive elephant trunk on the Toad. Yeah,
it's
gonna be good.
So fun.
It's gonna be good. I can't wait. Yeah.
And the music just already from that trailer. I'm really excited to listen to that soundtrack.
Yeah. Looks really really cool. I can't wait for that. October 20th, soon enough. And there's like also like, from what I remember, there's like a million other video games coming out that same day. But yeah,
that's Mario's, like the busiest week ever. But
Mario's definitely still on top of my list. Besides Alan Wake 2.
Besides Alan Wake 2,
but I think Alan Wake 2 is the week before. I don't think it's that same week. I could be wrong.
I think it's that same week. I think it's the 17th. That's the same day as like Assassin's Creed, and Spider-Man 2.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
They're all that week, and it sucks.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild.
That's why I'm glad I spent my ticket on Mario Wonder.
Yeah, I should probably
So
I'll probably have to spread out some of those purchases for myself soon. Yeah, just figure that out.
Exactly.
All right. So after that, we have October 21st or 24th. Excuse me. The Metal Gear Solid 1 Master Collection, which is the original
Master Collection Volume 1.
Volume 1, correct.
Which is the original versions of 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, yeah, it is. That looks awesome. I'm glad they're finally putting those out on Switch and also like just modern consoles, because I know those OG Metal Gear games have not really been. I think most of the Metal Gear, besides probably 5, like I think 5 is probably available on. Like, you can get that on modern consoles to an extent.
Yes.
But I think
that's
like,
still only PS4, Xbox One.
Right.
It doesn't even have like a Pro.
A Pro upgrade.
Or Series
or whatever.
X or whatever.
Yeah.
1X upgrade.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool that they're finally doing that. And since it's Volume 1, we know there's going to be probably other games, right? There's probably going to be
I think
stuff.
This also includes the MSX Metal Gear 1 and 2 and the NES.
The NES
Metal Gear 1 and 2.
Yeah, the NES Metal Gear games. Yes, that's pretty sick.
But it doesn't have Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence, doesn't have Metal Gear Solid 3 Substance, it doesn't have Twin Snakes.
Peace Walker, I don't think.
Peace Walker, it doesn't have 4. 4 is obviously the one that's trapped on the PlayStation 3.
I feel like Volume 2 will probably be like 4, Peace Walker, and maybe something else.
Yeah, I would like it if they did like a Twin Snakes Subsistence and Substance version.
Oh yeah. That would be cool.
Especially because Twin Snakes, the Nintendo version, the canonical Nintendo version of Metal Gear Solid 1, has just also never appeared.
Never appeared ever. Yeah, that could be fun.
And I love Twin Snakes. Twin Snakes was the version of Metal Gear Solid 1 that I played. Which I'm sure many Metal Gear fans will
be like,
degrade me for that, but
yeah, I've definitely I didn't play it, but I definitely watched some like YouTubers, streamers play it. It looked like just like silly and fun version. Which granted, those games are already over the top and silly, but
exactly, it was just a fun time.
Those just kind of take it to another level, which is fun.
Yeah,
but yeah,
there will be more Metal Gear collections, and this is
Yeah, I definitely will probably get this for sure, because it's just been a while since I played any of those games in general. It's been like years and years. Because I want to say like I played them probably 360, PlayStation 3 maybe, probably even before that really. So yeah, it's been a while since I played those. So looking forward to those. 2 quick indie game shoutouts. They don't have specific dates, but they are in October here at the end here. Played Up is a cool kind of like, it's like a bunch, it's kind of like a mixture of what is that other Overcooked.
Okay.
But it's like more like has like more of like a roguelite nature to it, because basically you're like real time basically like starting a restaurant, and then like as you're doing stuff and cooking things for people. You can like, you're getting money from them, and then you can like build out while you're doing it like all at once. It also has multiplayer, so you could like be doing it all at once, like Overcooked. But it's like more just like it expands on like, instead of just like, you know, cooking and preparing a meal, you're also like running a restaurant and like putting chairs and seats down and doing all kinds of extra things on top of that. And it's like run based, so you're like doing it after a certain time, and you can like do new runs and do that stuff. It's pretty cool. I played a little bit of it, and I've like watched some streams of like groups playing it, and it's very fun. The other one I wanted to point out, the last one is Mika and the Witch's Mountain. This one's just like really cool because it literally just looks like Wind Waker 3D platformer, but you're like a little witch lady, and she just has like a witch's broom, and you're like literally like going around islands, and like I think you're like delivering stuff to people. Yeah, very, very cute, very cool look. Like, again, looks very, very visually, and the visual style is very Wind Waker inspired, kind of cel shaded-y. And you know, you're like flying around islands and stuff. Very cool. So that'll be in October on Switch as well. So that's pretty cool. Let's move into November for the Nintendo Switch. Let's see what we have here. November 3rd, WarioWare Move It. Wario is back. He's ready to fart. Mario Neil.
Finally!
Finally!
Did he fart in that fucking trailer?
Yeah, I don't think he did. But that's why we need to play. That's why we need to play the game on November 3rd to find out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm probably gonna skip this because there's too many video games coming out, but and somebody must be sacrificed on the albatross, and it's Wario this year. But
sorry, Wario.
I'm very happy for Wario. Also, I do want to shout out November 2nd, Thirsty Suitors. Very fun looking indie game. It's kind of like Parappa the Rapper meets a dating sim is like the best way I could describe it. I forget the team that's working on this, but it's some folks that have like done other indie titles before, and I'm excited for them to be coming together for this.
Isn't it Falcon Age? Isn't that what they made? Or
yeah,
could
Falcon
be wrong.
Age. One of the developers worked on that.
Okay, cool.
Outer Loop Games. Just, you also don't see like Indian-led games very often.
Yeah.
And I'm always here for that. And then because I thought it looked really great when it was revealed in the Direct was Star Ocean Second Story R, which is like the HD 2D Star Ocean remake. That's surprise coming out this year as well.
Yeah, that looks really cool. Yeah, I never played it. I never played like that Star Ocean, but it did look really cool as well for that. Let's see. Of course, we got to shout out November 3rd, Jumanji Wild Adventures.
Dwayne is back.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson is finally in a video game. There he is on
again. Definitely not in Fortnite. Don't look at that.
Yeah. Don't worry about that one. Not as cool as Jumanji Wild Adventures, November 9th on Nintendo Switch. That's fun. Let's see what else we got here. Next up, November 17th, Persona 5 Tactica. I don't know if that's, I know it's Persona 5, which you really enjoy, but I don't know if you're into like tactics games at all. I don't know if this is up your alley or not, or
I like it. Every Persona gets one spinoff. That's the deal. That's the agreement. So
that's the clause. That's the clause you sign when you play a Persona game.
Exactly. Persona 4 got Persona 4 Arena, and technically Persona 3 got that too, because that's basically both of them. And then Persona 5 got Strikers. I got that. We're done. After Persona Q and losing my 3DS cartridge and 90 hours of that game, I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I have to draw the line somewhere, Mike. Looks good though.
Cool, very cool art style, like the chibi kind of Persona characters, and I guess they'll have like its own kind of original story going on. So I'll be curious for folks who are really into that, how that ties into stuff. Time
stood still, and then the whole party got warped to some alternate realm, and we met somebody here, and then we all forgot. It's
then we all forgot it. Yeah, it's always that. the realm where you forget everything. That's funny.
They did it they literally did it twice. Persona Q1, and then it is the same plot for Persona Q2. It's unbelievable.
Love it. That's funny. Hey, if it's not broke, Hey.
I guess we just want to hang out with Joker and the gang. Let's go.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, after that same day, November 17th, Super Mario RPG, the remake of that SNES game. Yeah, super excited for that. So glad. It's always a game. Again, I think I said it in the last track. It's a game I've always wanted to play, but it's just I was kind of waiting for that right time, and then of course it didn't end up coming to the Switch Online. And luckily that's because we're getting this remake, and now I'm going to be playing it probably the best way to play it, which seems pretty awesome. So I'm super stoked for that to come out later this year on November 17th.
I never finished it. Right, I've watched my brother finish it, but
nice.
I'm excited to finally see it all the way through to the end myself. Got Yoko on the music.
Yeah.
What else?
Got the Queen on there. That's gonna be so good. I can't wait to hear that. Can't wait to hear that soundtrack.
What a year for Nintendo.
Yeah. Solid. Banger year.
Yeah.
And we're not even done here, because November 30th, the biggest one of them all, they're putting Biomutant on the Nintendo Switch. Hell yeah.
Finally.
Shout out to Biomutant, baby. But yeah, that's that for November. The rest of the stuff we have here is there's more things down here. It's called general Q4 stuff.
Cute that somebody put Silk Song here.
There's also someone here that definitely have dates. Maybe this just hasn't been updated yet, because Sonic Superstars is in here. I'm pretty sure that's in September. This Paleo
November, October.
Yeah, I think it's October, because it's right. I think it's super close to when
Mario Wonder comes
Mario
out.
Wonder. It's close to that. Paleo is a game I've heard of, just because I have coworkers who are into gonna be into it, because they like those cozier games, and that has come up, and that's out in a week or two. But it's not gonna be on Switch yet. That's what it is, because it's coming out to PC soon, but it's gonna be on Switch later this year. So that's probably what that is. Let's see. They have the Mario Kart DLC listed here. Of course, Wave 5 has come out since our last episode. We played some of that. We'll definitely
Wave 6, and that's it.
Yeah, it's just the final wave. Unless they do more, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, DLC coming soon. That's be the last one later this year. Anything else? Because it's pretty funny they put Silk Song in.
Yeah, I don't think Silk Song's gonna make it, kids.
Yeah.
It's close, but it's not that close.
Yeah, I feel where are you at with that? Do you feel like they're just gonna is it gonna show up in some showcase and it's gonna come out soon, or is it just gonna be I feel like at this point they just need to do show it in something and then it's just out that same day. I feel like they just need to do that.
That's what they did that with Hollow Knight, and it was very successful, but that was an E3 direct.
Right.
I think they could totally do that. I really think it's close. They're just, that first game was basically perfect by the time it hit 1.0. And I think they just want this game to be that as well. And there's only 3 of them. So
yeah,
it's just a matter of time. I could see it first half of next year realistically, but yeah, I think announce it and it's either out within the month or that same day for sure.
Yeah. Definitely think it's going to be a short overlap for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there anything else I want to quickly?
There's Rift of the Necrodancer. I don't know if that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it has one yet, but I think it's just slated for generally this year. Yeah, that looks really cool. One I'll shout out because I remember putting it on my Steam wish list, which was Enchanted Portals. Well, I don't know if you've seen this one, but it's if you go look at the trailer, you can immediately tell it is basically just it is there making a Cuphead game, and it's unabashedly going for that visual style. I would say it's not as impressive, but it's not. I would say it's not as detailed or impressive as that Cuphead game is, but
sure.
you know that's a pretty hard thing to match. But I would say it's still pretty good evoking it. but like it is literally like that same thing of like you have the two characters, the jumps and them shooting the bullets are like almost exactly the same. They're fighting they're fighting some crazy eccentric boss. So very much that similar style of game, and there's not too many of those, right? So like them going for that game and like kind of doing that, like sure, why not try it out? And I guess it's supposed to be this year sometime. So that's cool.
Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time.
That's right. Yeah, I do hope that'd be really cool if that does come out this year. I really like that first Fantasy Life on 3DS.
Yeah.
So
it can wait until next year. Ultimately, it'd be fine, but
definitely will live.
You know what? A lot of video games probably could, but
it's very sure. You know, I can't live without this year, and that's DreamWorks All Star Kart Racing, because Shrek is fucking back in a video game, baby. Get ready. You're all fucking ready for this the hot 2023 release. Shrek is back in fucking.
I'm happy
games.
For Shrek. You know.
Yeah,
he deserves this.
He deserves to be alive and well, and in the video game world. And here he fucking is in a kart racing game. What's better than that? Let's go.
What more do you want, gamers?
That's right. You have wealth of riches. Now you have Shrek on top of that? Come on. Jesus Christ. Let's see what else we got in here. I think this is... Let me double check this trailer real quick, because this is something I put on my Steam wish. This is the game I was thinking of. Pulling up the trailer real quick. Yeah, it is what I was thinking of. There's this game called Sacrifire. And this is like...
I've heard of this.
Yeah, and it's coming to... I guess it's coming to Switch soon, but yeah, it's very much a, like... It's going for that 2D HD looking style kind of RPG look. And yeah, it actually looks pretty neat. It was like a Kickstarted game, and that's supposed to be out this year. It just has a 2023 release. Maybe it could be, it could not be. So that's pretty cool. Another one they put on here, which actually just came out on the Nintendo Switch Online, the Zelda Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons. That finally came out on the Nintendo Switch Online. So those are there. If you had not played those, I definitely recommend it. They're really good, solid Zelda video games from the Game Boy era. They're fun.
Yeah, you've got all Capcom Zelda games on your Switch now. Play all three of them. They're worth your time.
Yep, 100%. Another one, it's just scrolling down the list. Shout out to Lord of the Rings Gollum, baby. Coming to Nintendo Switch, if it hasn't already. Good lord. But not going away from that, not a good video game, to a potentially very good-looking video game is another cool indie title that I've seen. I've had wishlisted on my Steam page for a while, and that's called Berserk Boy. And basically, if you look at this, it's like basically like going for a Mega Man style game, but it's like more like melee focused and like more like rush down, like you're doing like combos and stuff, and like it looks really cool, very very action focused, like platformer, and the like your kind of power sets that you're getting are like very much in that style where you can kind of like you like switch around and combo through them and stuff, and it just looks really cool. It has like a really cool look to it, and very much going for that Mega Man style. It's like definitely it's like some Mega Man Zero stuff in there, and just other Mega Man things for sure.
Yeah, I 100% see what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
With this trailer.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Definitely one I've been watching for a while, and hopefully it'll be out soon. From this year. Oh, I totally forgot about Metal Slug Tactics. That's on this list as well. Yeah. That was. I remember they showed that.
It's gone quiet for a little bit. But yeah, whenever that's like another one that I think they'll just like announce the date the next time they talk about it and drop it.
Yeah, that would I could definitely see that for sure. That sounds like a solid like show up randomly at a Keeley thing and just like boom, here it is.
Yep, totally. I think that was Game Awards last year was when that was announced, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I forgot that the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remasters are also happening. I think sometime this year. Those are ones I was always curious about. I never played them back in the PS1 days. It looked cool. So definitely might check that out when those finally pop up. Another one that's been on my radar. 20 is also 23. I think this is coming to Steam pretty soon. Here, it's like in like the next couple. I think it's like the next month or so. I guess it's coming to Switch later. Is Moonstone Island. This is like another like kind of Stardew Valley sort of like sim game, like kind of sim game, but it also has Pokemon stuff infused in it, where like you're straight up capturing like creatures, and then you can use them to like do stuff in like kind of that vein, where you can do combat stuff, but they can also like do like help out on your kind of farm and other things like that. You can romance people, and like there's like a whole town with like villagers, so like it very much has that kind of a lot of those little facets going on to it. So yeah, it looks cool, and it's very cute style. It very much looks like a DS era like Pokemon game in terms of like the pixel art and stuff that's going on. So it looks cool. Let's see. Anything else here? Plucky Squire, which I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's still supposed to be this year, but that looks really cool. That's that.
Last we heard of it, it was still this year, but yeah, it doesn't have a date yet.
Yeah, that would be really. That looks fantastic. If we do end up getting that.
Yeah, take your time though, please.
Yeah,
don't rush
yeah, for sure. Looks cool though. But yeah, I think that's largely it.
I mean, you definitely brought up a lot of ones that are now on my radar. But.
Yeah. There's tons of cool stuff this year for sure. Like a lot of was definitely more indie focused, but I think there's definitely some cool things coming up for the year for sure. But I don't think there's anything too much else. Like I don't know if Nintendo is going to have too much else. For the rest of the year, I know there's, of course, the rumblings of maybe some more remasters happening potentially. Like I know there's still some Metroid Prime rumors of us potentially getting the Metroid Prime 2 remaster this year still, or maybe sometime soon here. I don't know.
That would be hype.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, if they just dropped
Metroid Prime.
Just dropped. Came out. That was this.
Yeah.
That was this year. That was this video.
That was February.
That was February. It's pretty wild. They dropped it that same day, and like, yeah, that was awesome.
What a treat!
What a treat! I'm so glad. Yeah, I totally played that again, and that's such a fantastic
I played that like
video
3
game.
times.
It's an amazing video game.
Yeah, it's so good. The idea that Metroid Prime 2, which is my personal favorite, would also come out this year is just
yeah, that'd be really cool. I know they said the thing was that they were not going to be like they were not going to have the full visual treatment that first game does. But who knows? Maybe I would not mind if they saw the reception to Prime 1 and then maybe like took a little extra time and did a little bit more of that visual rework to those 2 and 3 or something. But
I would love that for 2, especially because the art style of the game is bonkers.
Looks awesome. Yeah, that'd be cool to do. I mean, we'll just have to see. That's definitely a rumor, so it's not really for sure anything. Yeah. But who knows? Nintendo could pull anything on us, like as they do sometimes.
We're getting a Super Mario RPG remake, so anything's possible.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, still tons of stuff to look forward to on the Switch this year, and there's even like stuff like early next year, like that freaking Prince of Persia game, Metroidvania game in January. And then like the Peach game and like the Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon. I know that those are gonna be next year. Sure, there's plenty of other stuff to come. But yeah, that's tons of stuff just to look forward to soon. And there's so many video games happening all the time at once. My brain is spinning.
Simultaneously, we live in all video games and none of them.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I think it's time to just talk about the stuff we're playing. How about we do some of that? I'll just say it because we both played this together and start off with this is the Wave 5 of Mario Kart 8's DLC. Like I said, we mentioned that came out. That was we'll play. If you're watching us here on YouTube.com/IrrationalPassions, you can actually find the archive of that stream where me, you, and Quinn played those new tracks and played a little Mario Kart 8. And yeah, continues the trend. It's the 5th wave out of the 6th, so we're pretty much at the tail end. But I've liked pretty much every track they've added here and there, like minus
except for Baby Park.
Some minor things. Well, yeah, Baby Park.
We all know what you
Baby
feel.
Baby Park was in the original one, and that can never exist for all I care. But the tracks, the 8 tracks in this wave are all pretty good. I definitely would say, I know people have had mixed feelings about the city tour tracks from the mobile game that are now being like made in Mario Kart 8. I would say personally though, like the 3 they have in this wave in particular, I think are like the best that the city tracks have been. And I think you can definitely see. Well, granted, the two of them were like almost like something almost very like original tracks, like the LA track and Vancouver were actually pretty early in the tour tracks that came. But I will say, like, you look at like the Athens track specifically that's in this wave, and that truly feels like, okay, this is clearly was starting to be designed once they knew this DLC was a thing, and they could make these more, maybe like a little bit more extravagant than some of the previous ones were. Like, you can definitely feel maybe that happened at some point of like, oh, we're making this DLC, well, we need to like kind of improve some of the looks and gameplay aspects of these tracks to make them a little bit more interesting and exciting and kind of make sense in Tour, but also can make sense in Mario Kart 8. That you can definitely feel that with that Athens track, which is super fun, very, very, very different from the other city tracks where you're actually like in the ruins of Athens, like in the ruins of Athens and Greece, and like you're driving around through those areas. Looks very cool. Music's very cool.
It's not a bunch of wild dogs on the street, though. So it's very unrealistic.
Fake. Well, that's can't get everything right. You should have just had like toads or something, like running around on the street.
Ragged toads, walking around homeless on the street.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's worth it for the music on those tracks alone. They're so good.
Yeah, a lot of really good music as always. Of course, we got the new original track here, which is Squeaky Clean Sprint, the bathroom track, which I think was like
so good,
super fun track. Surprisingly, like I was curious how they could make that like a interesting track, and it turns out they know what they're doing over there when they make some Mario Kart tracks, especially like new original ones. Like it was really cool to see how varied it was. Like when you go to when you start a second lap, you have like completely different options. You can go flying up onto like different railings and different little perches that have their own little like areas, or you can like fly past like these like bigger things and have smaller little pathways where you're like jumping off counters and stuff, and then you like go into a bathtub and stuff. It's really cool, creative track. Some of the other original stuff in there. We finally got some GameCube love with Daisy Cruiser, which fan favorite from there. Daisy Cruiser's a fun track. I love some of the visual enhancements it's gotten since the GameCube with like Tour and Mario Kart 7. It has some of those updates in there as well. Looks really nice. I like that track. Let's see what else am I thinking of off the top of my head. I mean, I like the Los Angeles track, and Vancouver is probably like my favorite city track from Tour that they've like done, and like just that whole vibe of that track is really good. Music, incredible, 10 out of 10. Los Angeles track is still pretty fun too. And then I'm trying to remember what are some of the other tracks they brought back from the previous games are. I'm blanking on
That's
some
what
of them.
I'm trying to pull up as well.
I'm blanking on some of the other tracks that were in the
games happening right now.
Yeah. Now, I'm thinking about all the other video games that just came out.
The Daisy Cruiser, the Moonview Highway.
Moonview Highway, that's right. That was a cool remake of that one, and that one was kind of surprising because like I think I've mentioned it a bunch of times in previous episodes, but like a data mine happened of this DLC, and it's been largely kind of what that data mine was, but this track in particular was like not originally in there apparently, from like how people were describing, where like it was apparently it took the place of like one of the empty slots that were in one of these final waves or something because of how they seen it. So now like they're technically like swapping around tracks that were supposed to be in certain waves, because there was supposed to be like one track here, but now like in this final wave apparently we're gonna get like 2 GameCube tracks, and then like two and like all the remaining original Tour tracks that are in Tour now but are not in Mario Kart 8 yet are going to make their way into this final wave, of course, as well. There should be like a Bowser Castle finally as well, from what I'm hearing, so that's pretty cool.
Be good.
So yeah,
the Mario Kart 8 Bowser Castle is just so good, though.
Yeah, it's an awesome Bowser
holds up.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely one of the high up there for me is one of the ones across the games. But yeah,
the other two were Sunset Wilds from GBA and Koopa Cape.
Koopa Cape, yeah. Koopa
Cape was very good.
Yeah, Koopa Cape was one of my favorites from the Wii Mario Kart 8, and then it was in the 3DS version as well. And this version kind of melds all of it back together into this version. So yeah, very good. I like the music. I like that they brought back when you go down like the river, like the fast river, saying a banjo comes in, and that was like a thing with the original Wii version, but then they didn't have it in the more recent versions, but they brought it back for this 8 version. It's very good. Super fun track. I'm glad they brought that back.
We talked about it on the group stream, but like I never really played the Wii version, so a lot of those tracks are still really new to me. So they're very good. Yeah, a
lot of great stuff. But yeah, we have this one wave left, wave 6. Definitely, it's one of those things where because we know a lot of stuff is coming from Tour, we just kind of know a lot more now that we're down to the last one. It's like I said, there's a Rome city track that is in Tour now. Rome Avanti is what it's called. It's based off like Rome, and you like drive to like a big Colosseum. It's at nighttime, so it looks pretty cool. So that's like the one city track that's left in Tour right now. And I guess between now and when that DLC comes out, maybe one more city track will come because they would only end up doing one city left because there's 2 other tracks that are original tracks that are in Tour now. Funny enough, they're called Piranha Plant Cove and Piranha Plant Pipeline. They're literally both Piranha Plant, but they're both pretty cool because like one's like you're like undersea like ruins, and they're all like PD Piranha themed. So there's these big like stone PD Piranha faces all over them, and there's like tiki like islands everywhere. You're like flying around and going in the ruins and stuff. And then Piranha Plant Pipeline is kind of amalgamation of some other tracks where it's like you're like going into these 2 giant pipes, and then like you kind of start in one big pipe that you're like kind of going through these underground sections, and like it very much feels like they could easily make that like all anti-grav and stuff because there's like half pipes and stuff everywhere in there too. But eventually it like splits off into multiple pipes that you can go through, so you can like choose different directions, and you come out through a glider section, and it has 2 more pipes you can like go through, but you can like kind of like glide through either of them and like fly around. So it's a cool track, but it's weird. It was weird that it ended up just being both Piranha Plant themed tracks.
PD Piranha for the last wave.
Yeah, I know what they're thinking. I wouldn't be surprised because like again from like a lot of what folks are saying with data mines, like some tracks got like moved and shifted around through different waves where they're like, oh, Waluigi Stadium was supposed to be in this wave, and this track was supposed to be that wave or whatever. Like, so sometimes maybe it's just because of that. Maybe because they just had to move stuff around or something for whatever reasons. We ended up with this. But yeah, one more wave. It's bittersweet because, like, on the one hand, when this DLC ends, we'll have to, now we're just going to be waiting again for whatever was next for Mario Kart. Be a new game or more DLC. If they do more booster, like another booster course pass DLC, I have no idea. We have no idea at this rate. I'm kind of going back and forth on it just because there's tons of tracks that they've now remade from like the Game Boy and like the 3DS Mario Karts in Tour. That like those tracks will just kind of be in Tour now and but not made their way into 8. So then it leaves up the case of like, well, there's definitely, the hopes of the next Mario Kart being like a bigger departure, but they also still just have all these Tour tracks that haven't been used, and they're like fan favorite, popular tracks still for some folks. Could they just ultimately kind of port a lot of this stuff into a new Mario Kart game for the new game, or could they just, fill that out by just doing another DLC for 8 first, and then that way like 8 can just be like, Mario Kart 8 from the Wii U and Tour kind of as like a whole thing, its own package, and then whatever. Then they can truly move on to do another Mario Kart. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm conflicted because like ultimately at the end of the day, I'm gonna take more Mario Kart. Whatever the next thing is, I'm here for it. I'm stoked for more Mario Kart. But I'm just curious about like what depending on what approach they take could upset a lot of people. And then you just have more people
Sure.
just being like, oh, this Mario Kart 9 is just, I thought it was going to be this bigger thing and they were going to have new mechanics, but instead it's just a bunch of tour ports again. Or, people getting like up in arms about them just, making more Mario Kart.
Sure. I mean, like, historically, Mario Kart has always had remastered levels from previous Mario Kart games. So
yeah, for a long time, for sure, yeah.
If there is room for those final tracks to kind of fill out those ranks with maybe remastering or redoing some 8 tracks and some 8 DLC tracks, I think it will be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's safe to say that, like, Mario Kart 8 has the most tracks of any Mario Kart, so
yeah.
wherever they go from now, in a similar vein to like Smash Brothers, it's like it's kind of only down from here, quantity wise. So
yeah,
it's up to them to figure out like what to do to make Mario Kart 9 more interesting. So
yeah. And their answer, and like that's the thing of like, yeah, it's like what is that answer? We don't know. Their answer can honestly just be, let's just port this game again and keep adding stuff to it. That's totally.
It certainly would work for Smash Brothers.
It certainly work for Smash, and I think it would. I think it's still it would upset people, but I think considering how many more people have Mario Kart 8 on the Switch now, if they could just go like, hey, there's a lot more backwards compatibility stuff going on with the Switch. Essentially, if you're buying the console for the first time, what they could pull, now it's just getting, I'm getting into tinfoil hat theories, and they could do this for Smash feasibly too, where it's just like you're essentially buying an upgrade for the new console, right? Of like, hey, you could play Smash Ultimate as it is on Nintendo Switch on this new console as you want, or you could buy this like deluxe upgrade, and then it puts it into this new version where then you can buy the new this updates that will come with this version, and then we'll just keep making DLC characters for it. And I could see them doing something like that for Mario Kart 8 as well, where it's like, here's Mario Kart 8. You can play the 8 Deluxe you have as it is now on the new thing, or you can buy this deluxe version, and then they just keep adding more stuff to that version, and then I think they could still get plenty of people, because especially with like that attach rate of like you have millions of people who own both of those games, they could easily do that and probably still make a lot of money. But I think ultimately they'd still probably just make new games, because I feel like if they could just make new games and then have people buy that on that new thing, and still be able to go play the old thing as well. I guess I don't know. I guess that's definitely going to be the thing with however this new Switch ends up. That's like a big question for sure for those ones. But just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
As always. So let's hear about Ghost Trick,
Sure.
Ari, because I've not really played much of that. I've seen trailers and things like that, so I don't know a lot about it. I know you've told me a little bit about it, but
yeah, it's great, and it's like been like 12 years probably since I played it last, right? So it's a mystery game. I would put it in like somewhere between visual novel and point and click adventure, but all the mechanics are very unique to it. I think I brought it up before, like a couple episodes ago, but I finally it's $30 for the remaster. It's on everything, and I was like feeling a smaller thing after Tales of Arise and Final Fantasy and all these long big games. It's great. It's like maybe 8 to 10 hours. Maybe less. It was shorter than I remembered it. I remembered it being like 17 hours, but it's definitely, that was just because I was stupid when I played this game before. But yeah, like the conceit of it is, right, you're right from the get-go, you're a dead body, you realize you're a ghost, and you've been murdered, and you have to solve your own murder. And as a ghost, you can jump into certain objects, not everything, but some things that you can interact with, and ghost trick them. And it's different for every object. So like the first thing you jump into is like a guardrail for like a train track that like goes up and goes down, right? And you can lift and lower it, right? Like that's usually it's just like one thing.
Sure. Okay.
And so you're jumping from object to object. You only have like so far that you can jump. So you will oftentimes have to jump into an object, use its trick to then maneuver it to continue on the path to where you need to get to. And obviously it gets more complicated where you have to like use multiple objects and sometimes a specific order.
Okay, so it's more so you're taking it for objects, or are you taking it for people too, or not really people?
Only objects. That's
okay.
You can't mess with living people. But if someone were to die, you can jump into their corpse and travel back in time to 4 minutes before they died, and then potentially reconfigure the room and everything to save them and change their fate.
Okay.
So yeah, it is like a murder mystery game where you are jumping around and you can travel over phone lines, right? This is like in a kind of 80s style world where like no one has cell phones or anything, so you're all just using like landline phones to travel around, and usually you get somewhere and somebody's dead, and then you jump into their corpse.
Just find a body on the ground. You're like, well, gotta figure this out.
It's really funny because like, you know, when you inhabit a body, you can talk to their ghost, and other ghosts don't have, you know, ghost powers like you do. You seemingly are the only one with ghost tricks. But you can talk to them and you can learn what what happened and get their perspective, and then their like spirit comes with you while you try and solve their murder. So it's like you're learning more about the character while you're also trying to solve this murder and doing all these little puzzles and interacting with all these objects and stuff to stop whatever's happening. Like the second chapter, like a little doggy gets murdered, a little Pomeranian.
Oh.
His name is Missile. And
not
you
the dog.
like jump. I know, right? It's brutal too. And you jump into it, and he's like super stupid, but he's like very funny. You know, optimistically giving you all this puppy advice. Basically, it's very fun. But then, you know, later on, you're like, oh, this detective character who like was sentenced to the death penalty and died in the electric chair. Like, I'm gonna undo this fate, and he's like a much more interesting character to talk to, but equally is like baffled by your powers and stuff. So like after you've saved someone from dying, then you can talk to them in the present, like, you know, after they're alive. They remember their deaths, they remember the alternate timeline, but they know that you've saved them now. So they do like a lot of fun stuff, and it just like it is like watching a 26 episode anime series. It is fully self-contained.
Gotcha.
You get a premise, and like there's a bunch of mechanics, and I love when mechanics like become a really big part of storytelling. So like what you can do with your ghost tricks and how limited they are is like a big part of the story as well. And there are people that you meet that see the ghost tricks and are like, I know what's going on right now. And interacting with those people like ups the ante, and the mystery deepens, and murder after murder happens, and you're trying to solve what's going on until it just goes bananas bonkers in the best way, and it's very, very fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Replaying it now, I have a much better appreciation for like the writing and how clever it is.
Cool. That's good to hear, because I know it was like was it a DS or a 3DS game?
A DS game.
The original DS game. So now it's finally on modern consoles since it's been on the DS. So yes, that's cool. I always like when they give a game like that like kind of lived on that one console and was like maybe like popular on that console for like a certain group, but then like bringing it to like clearly this bigger audience on a bigger console, like, and giving it more opportunities for people to check it out. That's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely like a cult classic. I remember it on the DS because, I mean, the animation, like it used like 3D models that were animated on a 2D plane, and it was all pixel art, like 3D pixel art models that like looked crazy good on the DS. And a lot of love went into this remaster, I'm happy to say. So like all the character models have been totally redone. And they still have that kind of 3D aesthetic, but they look so much more detailed. So when they're moving and animating, and all the animations and stuff are just so good. And they totally redid the music as well, and the soundtrack is stellar for this game.
Nice.
Really good funky, bassy, techie music, and I really, really like it.
Very cool. So worth checking out. So that's obviously on Switch, and then that's on. It's on other stuff too, I think, right? Yeah.
It's on PS and PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. $30 across all of them.
Cool.
Totally worth it. It is like the best thing I can say about it is a puzzle game with mechanics that I have never ever seen in any other puzzle game. Of just like kind of going and maneuvering and like screwing up and then like rewinding time to try again and trying a different thing and all these little outcomes. It's so jolly, so well written, so funny, and it's also like very sweet. At the end, it like turns itself into a very heartfelt thing.
Nice.
So yeah, if you like visual novel-esque anime games, I think you'll really like this. And then if you like puzzle games, I think you'll really like
it even more. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool to hear. Speaking of not so heartfelt games, or at least from what I played so far, Octopath Traveler 2. And what I mean by that is, I think me and you talked about it recently, or I think you maybe brought it up on Twitter or something. I just remember you bringing it up. Was like the a lot of games being very emotionally like challenging or even devastating to an extent this year with like some of their storytelling and stuff. And boy, I've played 10 hours. Like I said, I did it. I said I would eventually play this Octopath Traveler 2. Playing it finally. I put like 10-ish hours in. I've not met every single of the 8 characters yet, but I've done about like 6 of them, I think, so far. So I only have like 1 or 2 more characters to go meet. But yeah, literally every character so far has had a pretty rough go of it from the start of the story. So here, I'll go down the line. I started with Throne. She's the rogue kind of character. Like if you want to kind of compare it as the like job systems from a lot of classic JRPGs, she's kind of like your rogue thief style character. Throne was an orphaned child who was taken in by an assassin's guild, who also work with, who also are taking in slaves to then also be made into assassins and killing machines, to the point of where in the first year, kind of your opening story bit with her is you kind of are on like an assassin's like mission with like two other members of that, and it goes bad. And then it goes all bad, and then you have to escape, and then you go back to the your kind of main guild, and it's ran by the person called Mother and Father. And then when you have to go see yourself to like Mother to like be like to tell what's going on, she then proceeds to start whipping you. But then your partner goes like, no, I'm the one who screwed it up, I deserve it. And then they start whipping him to the point where he goes crazy, and then the chapter ends with him going mad and wanting to escape, but you not letting him, because as a part of this, you can't escape these people because they're crazy, because they're running an assassin's guild. So you fight each other, and then he ends up dying, and then that then makes you so upset about everything that you then go on a revenge story, and now I'm on a revenge story to go kill the people that he wanted to run away from, essentially.
Hell yeah.
So that's the first story that I had with Throne. After that, the next character I got was Oswald. He is like your black mage. And when you meet him, you learn that he was framed for the murder of his mother, or his wife and daughter, by another evil guy. Another like I think he's like another evil like wizard who Oswald like wronged for whatever reason, and you just see him in front of maniacally laughing in front of a burning house that is Oswald, and Oswald just yelling at him and being taken away by cops, basically. And then you meet him as he is locked up in a prison, and his face is like covered by a muzzle because he's like a wizard. So if he says his magic spells, he's like too powerful and scary. So they literally like muzzle him, and then you end up doing like a prison escape with like the help of somebody who then also sacrifices themselves to like help you escape out of the prison. And then you are now on this journey to like go find this other this guy who wronged you essentially. So there's the first two characters. Character number 3, Ochette. She is your kind of like your monster, like your beast hunter, kind of capturer who you can like capture enemies and kind of do their building, like the Beastmaster kind of class or whatever it is in those. She was on a remote island that is like kind of inhabited by like cat people, but also like the elders, like a full on lion. And then you basically learn that like there's these 3 elders or 3 legendary beasts that are like the protectors of the island, and you learn that like you're essentially being trained by like the elder to like prepare for this great calamity that's coming to like destroy the whole island, and this evil force that then shows up and like attacks the village, and then you then are sent on this quest to go find these legendary beasts to help save the village. Essentially, like that's her thing. So it's not as like dark as those other ones, but definitely still like
refreshing.
You still have to go stop your whole village from being wiped from existence. After that, you have I think like the 2 other characters I've had so far are you have oh god, I merely forgot his name, but he's like your cleric, kind of your white mage sort of class. And he is
Theminos?
Like, that might be it. Theminos, that sounds right.
Cleric Theminos.
Yeah,
I'm looking at pictures of the characters because I want to see what they look
excellent.
like.
Yeah, they're all pretty fun. He is basically a part of this like white mage guild or like cleric kind of order, and like they're kind of having this conflict in this town where they are kind of seen as like bad by a whole lot, but then he kind of is kind of set on this path because there's kind of this clearly this sort of maybe underground order that is maybe making their group look bad or something, and then he has kind of set off to like try and figure out what's going on with why like like what's going on with his people more or less. Then the other lady who I just met, she was the apothecary. I admittedly also forget her name. You probably Cassidy or whatever.
Casti.
Casti. Yeah, that's right. She had her memory wiped, and now she does not remember her memory and why she lost her memory. But then you meet a character who like knew her and is like being mysterious about it and like trying to like won't tell you what her memories is, but knows who she is, and you get this like flashback of her like saving you from like a horrible event where you're like being dragged by her to like a boat and you need to be taken away, because these people are attacked for whatever reason. So now you're like uncovering that mystery or whatever. So that happened, and then the last character I met was like it looks like he's like a gunslinger. I think he's supposed to be like the money, like there's usually like a money focused guy. Particio, yeah, I couldn't remember that name. But he's like in a Wild West town, and that's like where I left off, where he's like straight up just like a Wild West town, and you're like talking to like different people in the town to like start up a thing or whatever. But yeah, it's it's one part. It's largely kind of a lot of what that original game was. I definitely think they've definitely added some enhancements and extra things here and there that like I think enhance it. Where I think, from what I remember from the first game, is like it was a lot more like segmented when how you like start each thing, where like you had to do every chapter 1 in order to like start progressing other stories, from what I remember. Maybe I'm misremembering that after years now.
You are correct.
But that's how it was. Where in this one now it gives you the options to either do their initial chapter or to skip it, and you can do it at a different point, and you can kind of continue on these main chapters if you want, and you can. It seems a little bit more free form. Granted, all of them still have like the level requirements where it'll say like, hey, here's chapter 2 of Throne. The recommended level is like 18 or 20 for your characters. So like it still seems like there's like a kind of a general pathway you should take, but it also gives you the option to just kind of do your own thing and a little bit more. And like how the world, granted, but I also will say that how the world map is set up is like you definitely are sort of funneled to certain characters if you choose a certain way, because it's straight up just like the islands and the areas like almost like a big like U shape, and there's like two big islands. So like I started with Throne, and she was like kind of basically the top of one island, and I basically like worked my way down, meeting the other characters, and then took a boat to Ochet's like private island where her story starts, and then I had to take another boat to like get over to like the other island where other characters are now, and that's where I'm at. So it seems like it's still kind of segmented, but like depending on where you choose, you'll definitely get characters faster than others just because of how the thing is set up. So that's pretty cool.
I remember like the number one criticism that I heard about the first Octopath was that like how, none of the character narratives were ever really interconnected. And I've heard that is better in Octopath 2. I don't know if you've gotten any of that stuff.
Yeah, having only done like the initial chapters, I have not seen too much of that. I've definitely seen it be. I will say like some like there's very minor things that I think help it out a lot. Where like in combat the characters will like interact with each other and they'll like talk to each other. Where like some of it's just like very simple stuff where it's just like your person will heal you and they'll be like thanks person who healed me, or like that was or like if you do like you like do like the the usual stuff where you charge up a move and you break an enemy from their shields from doing a move, like a character will go like nice work, you did that. Or like if you defeat an enemy, that person will be like, man, I knew you could do that, you're the best, so and so. Like they'll kind of throw out each other's names and be more interactive in that way, which I think is cool.
That stuff's great. Like Tales of Arise does that really well.
Yeah, so totally. Yeah. So that's cool. There definitely is like the things from the first game where like they'll have like little like moments where you're starting a storyline, and then it'll be like, here's a moment where these two characters kind of talk back and forth to each other. If you start this prompt, and there's like that was in the first game, but that I've seen some of those here and there. But I definitely know there are more like that. Like I know there's like a specific thing I don't think I've gotten to yet where it's supposed to be like if you do this, it'll be like its own little separate story with these characters involved, and it's like its own like thing rather than with like the kind of main singular stories that are going on or something like that. I haven't seen anything like that yet, but I definitely know there's more stuff like that like kind of intertwines in a little bit more than that. But yeah, so far it's been similar to that first game where it's been more like when you go into a character's story, their first chapter at least is more just about like introducing them and they're part of it. Like I've not really seen the other characters show up actually like in speaking moments in their singular stories yet so far, if they do or not. The other thing I really like is like they definitely have a lot more like single character things going on. Like each character has like more of their own abilities, which I know was not much of a thing in the first game, where that was much more about like you had the jobs of like an old school Final Fantasy game, and you could intertwine those, and like those were like more of like the characters things. Where like now there's like the characters in the game now just straight up have like essentially like limit breaks or like EX moves, and they're like unique to those characters. Like a lot of the ones I have now are like kind of basic, but I can definitely look in the menus and say like, hey, when this character reaches this level, they get like a new EX move, and there'll be more to get. Where like Throne's, for example, is like she gets a free like 2 turns like whenever hers charges up. So you can do essentially like so you could essentially have, pop that, do like 1 turn where you like max out your kind of charges and do an attack, and then you'll still be able to do an attack again after doing all of its attacks if you wanted to. Or you could like use it to like heal or do some other ability. Oswald's is it makes it so hit the magic, because like normally in the Octopath games, the magic attacks like hits everybody on the field at once, but his makes it so it makes it the magic attack like a single target, and it does like way more damage. You could like do like a more single target magic attack to do like a bunch of crazy damage. The apothecary lady Casti makes it so like with the apothecary stuff is like you're getting like separate materials that you're like getting from like either battling or like buying from shops and stuff to like do your like various attacks or like do heals and other things like that. Like that's like how it's intrinsic to the job. But her move, her thing that I have now makes it so like you can do one of those for free. You don't have to use any of the consumable items to do like a move. So, and they pop up pretty quick. Like they're pretty, I could get some like especially like in a big boss battle, like I can get multiple of those for every character like throughout the battle a bunch. So that's been pretty cool. I like that. I like that little added kind of bonus that each character has a more unique thing going on. But But a lot of the other stuff is there too. Like, there's the jobs. And it seems like, I've also found I've just found one, but I found jobs that are like not actually attributed to the 8 characters. Like I just found some random guy in a house and he had like the machinist job, and I just talked to him for a little bit and he gave it to me, and now I can make any of my characters a machinist if I wanted to. And then that has like, like the other jobs, it just has like, you're leveling up and you're getting like the skill points for the job specifically, and that lets you unlock, extra abilities. Then when you get those, you get the kind of the support abilities that you can then like spread across any class kind of thing. Like the previous game, how that worked. So there's definitely a little bit extra more going on than that first game for some of that stuff that I really like. That's like definitely enhancing the combat stuff in a fun way, like the EX moves and kind of some of the other like leveling up stuff, which I like. Definitely, like I would say, like like I said, the stories have been very dour, so I've not been like super grabbed. But again, I've only done like the first chapters for one of these. And I know like they were like 4 or 5 chapters for each character, so like there's definitely a lot more story to go through. So I'm hoping they definitely grab me. And again, I've not seen. There's 2 characters I haven't met yet, which are like I know one's like the knight. He's like a samurai, like the kind of knight tank class or whatever. I know he's pretty close to where I'm at right now. I think he'd be the next character I go see. Akari, yeah. And I think there's like one other lady. Yeah, there's the dancer. There's like a dancer lady as well. Agni, yeah. So those are the 2 I have not met yet. But yeah, enjoying it. Like, I liked that first game a lot. I liked, even with that, I definitely see that criticism from people, but I personally liked that it was like more focused on individual stories. They definitely would have been cool to see more interactions with some characters, but I liked that it kind of had more focused on specific characters and let them kind of be fleshed out from their own little stories and things like that. I like that from the first game. And then you hear it's pretty good in this game, or even better in this game. Is exciting. So definitely going to keep playing it, but it's, there's just so many games. And it feels like it's going to be one of those ones where like, there'll be games coming out and I kind of want to jump in those and play them. And then, or like something like a Destiny season will happen or something, and I'll probably get taken away by that. But then when I find downtime, this will probably be something I just go like, oh yeah, Octopath 2. Let me jump in this and try and play a little bit more here and there and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm like doing cleanup right now. I'm trying to wrap up anything I might have missed, because it's Destiny on the 22nd, and then Sea of Stars at the end of the month, and then it's basically
nonstop.
The waterfall begins.
Nonstop. Yeah, that's definitely. I'm feeling that a little bit too.
What if? And I'm also thinking like, what if I replayed Tears of the Kingdom?
Let's go. What if I just started it again? Just put another 200 hours into that game. I could. I mean, there's still stuff I could do in the base game, to be fair, but
I could do it easily. Don't even tempt me.
But yeah, that's super fun. And then of course I mentioned a big game that came out, Pikmin 4. I've been playing that. I technically beat it. This game has a weird setup. Basically, okay, where do I start? Well, I'll just say like it's technically kind of 3 things. First off, Pikmin 4, it's like, if you played previous games, the main thing is still kind of there, where you kind of get put in these little hub areas. And there's like, all kinds of stuff you can do. You find a Pikmin, you fight the Bulborbs, the weird little Pikmin monster creatures that are all around. You fight those, and then you find like weird treasures that you collect that you like take back to your ship, and you have like you have that timer that goes till night to do that stuff. So like that Pikmin stuff is still all there in Pikmin 4.
It still has a timer? I was told that this game didn't have a timer.
Let me tell you, it has a timer.
Okay, good. So, I like that. I'm not a complainer on that.
There's differences in it though, where like there's that main thing that's still there, pretty traditional for Pikmin stuff. The second part, which I know, I think with some of this was in, one of the previous games, where there's like an underground. You go into these little separate underground section challenges, basically. And the best way to describe them, which I've only played Pikmin 3. I've not played 1 or 2.
This is a big part of 2.
So I don't know if 2 is similar to this, where to me it feels like that this aspect specifically feels like a Mario game, in that these are when you're in a Mario level. and then you jump into a pipe or jump into go through a door, and then you're in like a completely separate like platforming challenge. You know what I mean? Like the underground things feel like that now. Where I don't know if that was how they were in 2, but that's kind of how. That's kind of how they are in this game, is what I'll say. It's like where basically you'll go into one of them, and it'll be like, you know, an underground kind of maze. You know, sometimes they'll have specific challenges tied to them of like, oh, like this one will be like you can only bring ice Pikmin into it, or it'll only give you ice Pikmin in the pipe, and then there'll be like bodies of water in it, and then you have to throw a certain amount of ice Pikmin into these bodies of water, which will freeze it, and that allows you to walk over it, and walk over with like Pikmin that might not be able to go into the water to get like an item or get to like a different area or whatever. So there's stuff like that. Some of them are just like more like general, like, you know, you're in here and there's like a bunch of enemies, and you know you find stuff to collect and like all the little treasures and stuff. And then that's also where the what I think they showed in the direct, the Dandori battles and the Dandori challenges. That's also where these usually come in, because basically you'll come up to a pipe. I should premise like the story, like some of the story stuff too. Because the Dandori stuff actually ties into the story a little bit of like kind of the overarching story rather. But basically the whole setup of the game is you are a part of a rescue crew that has flown to this planet because Olimar from the original games, the person who plays the crash landed there and sent like an SOS, and he's been like trapped there. So you fly there. Yeah, again, surprise. And guess what? You fly there as a team of rescue corps team to like save Olimar, and then your ship crash lands there too. And then you basically like the first half of the game, which I'll explain more in a bit, is you basically recovering the members of the rescue corps, so that then you can go find Olimar to track him down. So that's kind of like how it's set up, you know, to do these things and like find the treasures, and you're getting them and converting them into sparklium, which powers up your ship to make it stronger. So the radar that lets you like fly around to new areas and unlock new additional levels and stuff, lets you do that as you get more of those things. It also like once you do that stuff, which this is like an aspect I really like. I think it's really cool. The game, which they showed in the direct, was like as you save members, like the especially like the main rescue corps members, they basically then become like, you know, help you get like upgrades or do like other little things, like you'll get guys that give you like your mission trackers of like, here's how many things you've collected out of like the game, and here's like little mini objectives that'll like give you these like raw materials, which you can then go to like buy upgrades from one of like the main research scientist dudes you save. Or those will be things like, you know, hey, upgrade, you know, your health, or like your like the dog friend Otachi, who's like is kind of another big part of the gameplay now, is you can buy upgrades for him where they'll make it so he takes less damage, or he can do more damage because he's like basically like acts as like another unit essentially aside your Pikmin that you can like send out and do things with, and you can like upgrade him even further to like make him take commands. So then the commands let him do very specific things, like, hey, if you want to, have him like, you know, go sniff out like these kind of Pikmin and go find them for me in the level somewhere, and they'll just go off and do his thing, or I'll leave like a scent tracker for you to follow, and then you can kind of go with them to wherever that stuff is in the map.
That's nice.
So yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff like that you can do with him. You can kind of make him resistant to the various things, because obviously there's like enemies who will shoot ice and freeze you, or like shoot fire and set you on fire, and you can get things to make him resistant to that. So then he becomes like better and better essentially, and can kind of fight alongside the Pikmin that are also like kind of have those different resistances and things they can do themselves. So that's pretty fun. I like that aspect of it. The other thing with saving the people is that another aspect of it is the people have been turned into what they call leaflings, and they basically are like, their heads are like all furry and they look like Muppets, and they have the Pikmin like stems coming out of their heads. So they've been like, I guess like corrupted or gone native and turned like into a virus or whatever. I don't know they haven't fully explained that, but I think that's kind of where I'm getting to now in the game, where they'll start to explain some of that stuff, because it gets
too topical.
It gets
calm the fuck down.
Yeah, but basically, you start doing basically that's also how they incorporate like the Dandori stuff into it, because usually when you get into a Dandori battle, it's usually one of those like dudes that standing in front of the pipes with like the leaf face, and they challenge you to a battle, and you go into it, and then the Dandori battles are essentially just like basically like you're collecting items using Pikmin, trying to do it faster than the other opponent, essentially, where there'll be a bunch of items littered around this arena, enemies as well that'll like kind of respawn after a certain period of time, and you're basically just like going after them and trying to get more Pikmin to do it faster and do certain things faster, or it'll like tell you like, hey, this is like a special item right now for this certain amount of time, and you'll get like double the amount of points for like turning this in. So you want to focus on finding those in the arenas and stuff like that. So like that's kind of what the Dandori battles are essentially. And then there's also Dandori challenges, which are basically just like speed run. Like they put you in like a cave, and there's a bunch of items around, and you have to like navigate this as quickly as you can through this area to like pick up the items or defeat the enemies and like turn them into your little ship or whatever. So you just have to do it in a certain amount of time to like get like medal ranks and stuff. And then doing that will then basically defeat the Leafling character, and then you bring them back to your hub, and then you can do the third major part. I know it was like a lot for part 2, but the third part is the nighttime expeditions, which they talked about in the direct. So basically those are like, I would say, are like almost straight up just like typical RTS like tower defense challenges, where basically you have these mounds that you're defending. And you basically have the whole night to have to defend these things, and you're given glow Pikmin, which are only you can actually technically get them in the daytime kind of missions as well by doing the nighttime stuff, where basically the nighttime stuff will be, they have these you have the mounds you're defending, and eventually after a certain amount of time the enemies in the area will get their eyes will glow red, then they'll rush that green the mound you're defending. But then you can take these, like there's like little like clusters of like, they look like the little star bits from Mario Galaxy, and you're picking them up and depositing those into the mounds that you can find around the arena, and then that'll create more glow Pikmin for you to use. And then you're basically just using those to defeat enemies. You also have Itachi with you, and Itachi also gets like upgrades in that, where you can make it so like, hey, Itachi, go defend this particular mound and just stay there the whole time during the whole evening, and they'll just like march around it. He's very cute looking when he's doing that, because he looks serious, and he's like marching around the little mound, jumping around, and then like so that's those are actually pretty fun, and like they're like a fun little challenge. But
I have a really important question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Can Itachi die?
He can lose health, but I've never actually seen him die. I will say, in one of the levels,
I don't know if I can handle that right now.
Yeah, I think it's a thing where he won't full on die. It'll just be a thing where like he kind of is knocked out for like a little period, and then his health recharges.
Okay.
I'll admittedly say this game has been pretty freaking easy so far from what I played.
That's what I've heard.
Itachi has not died for me at all yet. So I'm kind of gathering that from, granted, there's upgrades that kind of show you, like, you can get upgrades to like improve his health and defenses and stuff. So I've got a lot of that, so that also helps. But there's a level in it once you're kind of in the earlier parts where another dog shows up that's with a certain very red haired leafling looking character that maybe looks similar to, I don't know, maybe the character you're trying to save. Weird. But yeah, that's actually kind of neat, because like when you're in that level and you're trying to track down that red person, let's say in that arena, that dog is just like marching around the level, and he'll show up and like not like full on attack you, but what he'll do is he'll steal your Pikmin. Because he can run up to you and like do the whistle that you do, and then all your Pikmin will, like, their little leaves will turn green, and they'll jump on him, and then they'll just run away with a bunch of your Pikmin. But
rude.
But then it's pretty funny though, because once he starts doing that, and it's fun because like he can do that at any point. So like you could be like in a part of the level, and your ship depositing thing is like on a different side, and you could just be like grab materials, and your Pinkman can just be running back to that thing. And then randomly you just hear like a burp, 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 like little horn, and that tells you like he's like attacking your Pinkman somewhere at the level. So all of a sudden it just turns into like, oh shit! Instead I just hop on Otachi and like go run to where he is as he's trying to steal my Pinkman. But once you do that, once you like kind of engage with him, you can do a bunch of damage to him. If he gets low enough health, it's actually pretty funny because he'll like actually like stop and then try and like frantically run away if you do too much damage to him. But if you take him out, he'll just like kind of plop over and just kind of like sleep in that spot and like recover health. And then once he's fully recovered, he'll get back up and start doing it again. So I'm assuming that's kind of what normal Otachi would do too.
I've heard about the thing. I don't necessarily want to spoil it for people.
Sure.
It's still pretty new. I've heard about the thing that you unlock after you beat the main campaign.
Yeah. There's like an extra kind of story, like the game,
kind of, I guess. Yeah,
like basically, again, I alluded to it, so I don't think this is too much thing to spoil because the whole setup of this first part is you're saving Olimar. Surprise. Yeah. Save Olimar. But once you do that, credits roll, and it's like, okay, you're done the game, and then like the story just like kind of like immediately picks up and just keeps going, and it's like it feels really weird why they made the credits at that point, because like it doesn't feel like the game has ended, because like they clearly like make it pretty clear that the game's gonna keep going, but they just like roll credits like it's over, and you're just like, okay, sure,
the
like
end of Act 1,
Yeah, like I know they've obviously like plenty of other games have done that, and then like sometimes it works for those games, but I feel like this time it was just really weird, where it just felt kind of weird. I was like, okay, sure, whatever, roll the credits, I guess.
Just wouldn't get it. It's what art does, Mike.
Yeah, you're right. I don't get the. I don't get.
Nier Automata of 2023.
That's right. Sorry, I have to get Pikmin 4 ending C to really understand the Miyamoto's artistry of. I have to really.
Miyamoto's just trying to convey to you what the disposal of capitalism is all about. Okay.
Yeah, really needs to know about humanitarianism here in this Pikmin game. All right, Jesus Christ. But yeah, once you do that and like the credits end, you unlock one other thing, which I won't get super into it because immediately I've not done a lot of that because like the story continues and basically now I'm in the point where it's like you're learning about like Otachi grew a leaf on him and now you need to cure Otachi from like whatever these leafling things are, and now like you're trying to figure out that mystery. So now it seems like we're actually getting into like how these people became like the leaf heads that they became. Like whatever that means, and like I did the initial main areas, and now like I went into a new area after those credits rolled, and I did a bunch of stuff there, and now I've like unlocked another area like right after that. So I'm like, wow, the game just kind of just keep going. Okay, sure, that's cool, I guess, but like it just felt weird to have that weird credit split. But anyway,
I'll say like that thing that unlocks after you roll credits. Has made me want to play this more than anything else. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out because it seems cool. From the little bit I did see of it, but I have not gone super into it. But that's pretty neat. I will say like even like the base game, like I said, like it is pretty easy. Like I've not really had a lot of difficulty in it. Like I don't really lose a lot of Pinkman, and even when you like. I had one scenario where I basically did not lose all of my Pinkman, but I lost like a specific, like all of one type of Pinkman that I had. And I guess for whatever that thing was, I still needed those types of Pinkman. So it basically just pulled up a thing where it says like, you've lost all of these kind of Pinkman. Do you want to rewind time and get them back? And it just pulls up a menu where you can literally choose, like, you can rewind like 3 minutes or you can rewind to this moment. And it gives you like a bunch of like, essentially like auto saves to like pull up immediately and just start right over. So it's like so it's pretty easy game in that regard. I will say, like,
if you want a hard Pikmin game, you can play Pikmin 2, I promise.
Yeah, I was to say, I guess, you can go play the older ones because I think they definitely maybe be a little more challenging. The one gripe I will say I have is like I wish there was less of the underground stuff and more of the above ground stuff. Which, granted, I know like a lot of that's like main ground stuff is like what. There's a lot of that already in other Pikmin games, so like I get it. But like I kind of still like that stuff and the idea of having like a Switch game that can make bigger areas. And granted, these areas are pretty bigger than some of the previous games are. But I would have just liked those areas to be a little more varied and have some of like the puzzly stuff that you do in the underground be like more incorporated into those hub world areas, because that's ultimately what they just kind of feel like. They just kind of feel like they feel more like, again, like an older Mario game level where it feels like you're just in like a big hub and you're mainly actually going to these little pipes to go into the challenges, and then you're doing those challenges rather than like, you know, doing more cool things. You're just kind of collecting stuff in the top area rather than like doing little puzzles or whatever that you kind of do more so in the different pipes and stuff.
Yeah, that was the issue that I had with Pikmin 2 as well.
Yeah.
Like,
this game feels very much like that, I guess, then.
Yeah, you've got, like, your 5 main areas, and then in Pikmin 2, they were more like combat dungeons, really. There was, like, mostly fighting.
There's a mix of them here, where, like, some of them are puzzle, but some of them are straight up just, like, now that I'm also, especially, like, in the later levels, where, like, you know, I'm at, like, the 5th stage or whatever, a lot of them are just, like, you know, they're, like, literally, like, 5 or 6 levels. Like you're just going deeper into these caves, and then at the bottom you like fight like basically like essentially like a boss. Like that's how some of them are now at this point. And it's just like they're not like bad. It's just that there's like it feels like there's just like a lot more of that going on all the time, rather than like I get to explore this bigger area where you're like in the Pikmin area. You're like, oh cool, I'm in this, like, you know, one of the areas is like neat because it's like a beachside kind of area, and it's like a big ruined sand castle there that you can kind of like walk around. And then when it hits like midday, the water in the area like lowers with like the tide and stuff, and that opens up more paths. It makes it easier for like certain kinds of Pikmin to get around, because obviously like certain Pikmin can't go in water compared to other ones and stuff. And that area is really cool. The area after that, which again, that's the one I was talking about with the kind of the dog enemy dog that walks around, is like actually inside a house. Like you're just inside like a living room area, which you can actually see a bit of that. Like if you play the there's like a demo on Switch. You can play the free demo. Me and actually Quinn played it for viewpoints, so you can go watch that video if you want. But you can also just go play the demo on Switch, and it's also one where if you play it, the save data carries over to the main game, which is cool. Nice. But yeah, it's literally just like, you know, you're just like, you know, there's a big couch and you can run around the couch, but you can also get up on things and like get up onto the couch and there's stuff. There's a big counter and you can walk over the stove and empty out the sink and find stuff in it. And it's like a full little living room area, and it's cool that it's there. But also ultimately, like, I wish there was just more to do in it than like, you know, you see all that cool stuff and then it's like, oh cool, there's all these areas. I'll go up on this countertop. Oh, there's the stove. Oh, and there's just like a pipe entrance that goes to a combat challenge or whatever on top of the stove. And so I just go do that, and then you just go into there, and then you just do that, and it's just like, oh, okay, sure. Like that's sometimes what you find.
Is the clock running when you're in the underground stuff?
It does run, but it runs like significantly slower. So like I forget the exact amount of time, but I've never had it. I've only had it one time where it's like I spent most of my time in a cave, then I came out, and it doesn't yank you out of the cave, unless maybe I don't know if I stayed in longer it would have. But basically, like when I finished and came out, it basically just was like immediately at the like timer countdown to like get back to your little ship area. And when you came out, so you just had to I just had to run back over there, and then it was fine. But yeah. That's, you know, that's I would say that's my one major gripe with it, is just like I wish like you spent a little bit more time doing those more open Pikmin related stuff in those spaces, and maybe some of that more puzzly stuff that you find is converted a little bit more into there. There definitely is some in those areas, but a lot of it is just like, oh, I just opened up a path to make it easier to get up back through this area that I explored through to get to this stinking pipe challenge, and now I'm just like pushing a bag off a ledge, and now I can like walk down it or whatever. And that's like a lot of the simple stuff you're doing in that's the kind of those hub areas or whatever.
Okay, so I want to cover the Pikmin we got to. So we got the OG3, obviously. Red,
the OG3, the new one is Ice Pikmin, which I talked about a little bit. There's the purple and the white ones are back, and the flying ones are back as well from 3.
Pikmin,
The Pikmin are back, and then there's the glow Pikmin from the night. Those are the ones I've found so far. Again, there's a new area I just unlocked, so I don't know if there's more in that area or like another one I'll find.
I don't think they're
probably not. The glow
Rock Pikmin.
Oh yeah, that's right. Rock Pikmin are also in it as well. The glow Pinkmin, so how they work is that you can only get them from the night expeditions because they show up in the night. But once you start doing those, you get an item in your inventory called glow seeds, and you can pull them out of your inventory and just throw them out, and then they will turn into glow Pinkmin. So then you can use them. So you can technically use them, the seeds you collected from the nighttime expeditions, in normal levels to use them at any time. They're just in your inventory, limited,
and they're very powerful. From what I understand,
they are very
into a spirit bomb.
Yes, that's super fun because you literally you're running, and more and more you have, they charge up into a spirit bomb, and you just chuck them at a dude, and then they explode on it, and then they're electrified, stunned for a brief period, and then they just go ham and mess them up. They're very fun to use. I also really like them because they warp around. So if you once you let's say standard Pinkmin, when you let's say you get those little pellets and you put them into the thing, right, then they'll pop out and you have to pluck them out. With the glow Pinkmin, when they put the little star bits into the thing, they launch out, and they warp around, so they'll warp directly to you and just come out of the sky to you as you're doing stuff real time. So it makes sense for that tower defense stuff, because when you're doing that stuff, it can be pretty quick when you just want to run out, find the little clusters of starbits and just throw a Pinkman at it. They'll start doing their thing and bringing it back, and then they'll just start flying back to you, so you can just keep on throwing them around. So it's fun how that works pretty well. They're fun, and they do the cool spirit bomb thing. Yeah, overall, I'm having a good time with it. It's more Pinkman, so if it's by and large, it's still there and it's still fun. Looks really nice, visually. It's checking that dopamine box of finding all the little treasures, collecting stuff, getting all that stuff done. Of course, the previous games, there's fun little collectibles. One of the first ones you find is a big Game Boy Advance SP, the flipping one. And now at this point, I found different Game Boy Advance cartridges everywhere. I found a Wavebird GameCube controller. That was pretty fun.
Nice.
I found a Joy-Con. There's all those silly little things like that in there, of course, and just all of the random junk. But yeah, fun time. If you like Pinkman, I think you'll still like this one ultimately. But just minor things.
Yeah, I get it. I've talked about my qualms with Pikmin 2 before.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of transition from 1 to 2, where it was more challenge focused and stuff.
Yeah.
Just lost me, because I loved just getting lost in the world and stumbling onto a machine part that would make the game easier for you if you managed to get it.
Yeah.
Worth noting also, Ghost Trick has a demo that has the progress carryover as well.
Oh, nice.
Chapters.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad more games are doing that. That's a cool thing to do, for sure.
So great. The only other thing I wanted to mention was, because I keep forgetting, I got an OLED Switch.
Yeah.
And I wanted to speak.
Do you the Zelda one or no?
Mm-hmm. I got the Zelda one.
Nice.
So I got it a couple months ago, but I wanted to speak to the people that were like me, that were on the fence for a very long time, because I was on the fence for a very long time.
Oh no, I don't want to hear this.
Don't speak to me.
Gonna get this kind of money. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and I, I'm very glad I got the Tears of the Kingdom one, because I'm looking at it right now. It's extremely nice.
Yeah, it looks good. Nice.
And they're most. I don't love consoles that are tied to games specifically, but Zelda always gets a pass. Here are the things that I've noticed that I appreciate as someone who had a launch Switch. The speakers on this are so much nicer than and the Switch speakers that I was coming from, so I don't have to always wear headphones with my Switch, which is really nice. They are much louder. The screen obviously is what you're here for, the OLED screen. It looks great. It is a little bit bigger, not that much bigger. You're not going to notice really that it's bigger, I feel like. But also having Joy-Cons that are not drifting as the second you take them off is really nice.
True.
And the battery life is much nicer. So I will say, I didn't really play in handheld mode a lot before. I've been more incentivized to do it. And the experience has been more premium. I don't have to wear headphones. I don't have to worry about the Joy-Cons. The rails aren't all worn out so that they don't just slip off. Sounds much better, looks much better. So, and I also got a terabyte micro SD card this month.
Yeah.
So I just have all
it.
of my Switch games on there with like 700 gigabytes left to spare. So
nice.
Yeah, I will say I am. We talked about it already on this show of like there's probably a new Switch very soon. I talked myself out of it for so long because of this, but I'm happy. I'm happy with it. It makes it a much more enjoyable experience to play handheld. And I got the little clip that goes on the Pro controller, so it just like has the screen clip to it. So I don't have to use the Joy-Cons really. Not that I mind terribly when it's in handheld mode, but the Pro controller is just much better. So best of all worlds. Shout out to speakers. They're very important.
Shout out to quality audio, baby.
Yes.
It's always important. That's cool. That's good to hear. Yeah, I definitely have been steering away from getting an OLED for similar reasons. That Zelda one does look very nice though, so it looks cool.
Please, the dock is very good.
Very nice. Yeah. I think at this rate, I feel like I'm okay waiting, but yeah, I totally get it.
The kickstand is so much nicer. I know it's like the OG kickstand is a joke, but it's like metal, it's like aluminum, and it adjusts all the way. So much nicer.
Nice. Well, cool. Good to hear. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this trip to Nintendoland. Yeah, it's fun chatting with you as always about Nintendo stuff. We'll be back. I think we'll probably wait till maybe like September-ish. Maybe because I don't know if there's not too much Nintendo stuff going around in August anyway. It's basically already August.
It'll probably be early September if there's a direct as well. So.
Yeah, early September will probably be that you usually always get that kind of early fall direct. So we'll probably come back once we get that going. Talk more things Nintendo. But until then, thanks everybody for either watching us here on youtube.com/irrationalpassions or on podcast services. We appreciate it as always. So we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.